I'm calling for a ban on Turkey. A ban on Turkey. All of us, unitedly, the government will do what it has to do, but you and I don't have to wait for the government to take its decision. The government will take into account all the geopolitical, economic considerations that they have to do, and that may take some time, but that doesn't mean that we, on our own, cannot get together and ban Turkey, because much is in our hands. You see, Turkey has sent its people to fight with Pakistan. This means that Turkey has got into an armed conflict with India, and Turkey, therefore, is also effectively in a state of war with India. And Turkey is a country which needs to be banned. We need to make them pay. And I'll tell you exactly how you can make them pay. But let me tell you a few things about Erdogan, first of all. He's a delusional madman, and he sees himself as having some great global role. He postures as a custodian of all Islamic nations, but he presides over an economy which is teetering on the edge of collapse. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, his currency is in free fall. He has no money. His foreign reserves are depleted. He has a very, very, very fragile banking system. They have lost 461% of their value since 2020. At the slightest tremor, his ambitions ring hollow. So it's very easy for us to hit Erdogan, and we should. We should harm Erdogan's interests. We should harm the economic interests of Turkey. And let me tell you about their economic situation. Their lira is in free fall, as I told you. They have lost 461% since 2020. Back then, the exchange rate stood at 6.9 lira per US dollar. Today, it is 38.73 lira per US dollar, which means Turkey is a place which is very cheap to go to. Of course, as Indian tourists, you can go there and you can get a lot and you can get cheap holidays. But I want to ask you tonight, what's more important for you, a cheap holiday or national interest? Ladies and gentlemen, Turkey's gross reserves are 85 billion. Net reserves are near zero or negative. They have about 20 billion, which is actually available, which means in terms of reserves, Turkey is just a little bit better than Pakistan. So this is a case of the blind leading the blind. It's about as bad as Pakistan, their economic situation. Their banking system is so fragile, 5% of their depositors pulled out 22 billion. If that happens, half their reserves go. And ladies and gentlemen, they are so small as an economy, and we have a big leverage over them. Now, you will ask me, what can we do with a country that has joined hands with Pakistan? Therefore, it's an enemy nation. Right? Enemy's friend is our enemy. Indians contribute 3,000 crore to the Turkish economy. In 2024 alone, 2.75 lakh Indian tourists went to Turkey. We spent 3,000 crore to 4,000 crore, ladies and gentlemen, through flights, hotels, shopping, food, guided tours, and destination weddings. We should stop all that. If you know someone who's traveling to Turkey, tell them not to go. If you know someone who's organizing a cheap destination wedding, ask them whether they are willing to forget the sacrifice of the Indian army when they go for their cheap destination wedding to Turkey. If you're buying Turkish food, if you're staying in a Turkish hotel, if you're sponsoring Turkish flights, from now on, you are working against national interest unless we get Erdogan to rub his nose on the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also doing a lot of imports from Turkey. We need to stop eating Turkish apples. We import 160,000 tons of Turkish apples. Next time you go to buy apples, ask anyone selling it to you, is that a Turkish apple? And if it's available, then do not buy it. Ladies and gentlemen, 2.84 billion worth of goods from Turkey between April 24 and February 25, which means together, if you put all of this together, ladies and gentlemen, if we are going to put all of this together, we can significantly hurt the weak Turkish economy. And now I want to say something about Amir Khan. Amir Khan says he knows nothing about politics. He doesn't like meeting politicians. He's a non-political kind of guy. But then Amir Khan, why have you been going all out to support Erdogan? Now, don't say after this picture is out that I don't support Erdogan. No, Amir, did you get a subsidy from Erdogan in 2020? When you were shooting Lal Singh Chadda? Is it true that you shot Lal Singh Chadda in Turkey? And when you did that, did you have any economic interests or concessions or help from the Turkish? And there you are, Amir Khan, meeting the Turkish First Lady, Emin Erdogan, during Lal Singh Chadda's shooting. Right? Now remember, when you were doing that, Amir, when you were doing that, obviously you knew that this country is against Bharat. Why did you still do that? Why do you pretend, Amir? to be non-political, when the fact is that when it comes to taking sides with countries which are against national interest, you're willing to go all out as long as it helps you. Now, Lal Singh Chadda was a flop, and I think one of the reasons it was a flop is because you shot it in Turkey, if that is the case. But I want to know that while you are in India, you say you feel alarmed by the state of India. You suggest that you and your then wife even thought of leaving India. So situations like this, you make these political statements. When it comes to having tea, dinner, taking pictures with Erdogan, you're very happy. Look at that picture again. It's almost like he's taking a statesman meeting a statesman kind of situation. And my question is not just about Bollywood and Amir Khan alone. The fact is that personally, I'm extremely angry at the non-committal attitude of Bollywood during this war. I'm told that Salman Khan put out a tweet saying, thank God for the ceasefire. Did he say anything before that? When these Bollywood people fly hundreds of dancers from Turkey or to Turkey to shoot songs, to shoot their films, when they romanticize Turkey, when big budget films like Tiger 3, Ajab Prem Ki Gazab Kahani, Race 2, blah, 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 and Lal Singh Chadda shot in Turkey. Do these Bollywood people ever think that if they invest such large amounts of money in Turkey, then it could add to the Turkish economy? And do they find out about how anti-India Turkey is, and therefore industry with Turkey? And even if that is Bollywood, Bollywood, in my view, at least now, should stop supporting Turkey. All movies which are being shot in Turkey, planned in Turkey, or have sequences in Turkey should either wrap up operations or declare it to the Indian people. So that if you continue, I want all movies to declare they do not have a Turkey element. It's like shooting a movie in Pakistan. Would you watch a movie that was shot in Rawalpindi or Lahore or Karachi? Would you watch a movie which had Pakistani actors? And therefore, why should you have any such position vis-a-vis Turkey? Erdogan is delusional. He's crazy. But we can hurt Turkey. I have nothing against the Turkish people. But I have something very strongly against the Turkish army and their government. And ladies and gentlemen, we therefore, without a doubt, need to ban Turkey.